everyone. I'm going to tell you why I believe that meditation and additional recess or relaxation break should be implemented in our elementary schools. We are in a time currently that our schools have very little or very few methods that they are allowed to use for discipline. And it seems that they may be running out of ideas on how to get behavioral issues to improve, as well as optimize learning. So based on the fact that nothing has, or that the behavioral issues are not getting better, maybe we need to try something different. So maybe the solution is not discipline, but instead meditation and more frequent breaks or recesses as we know them. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is relax. Quote by Mark Black. Extra breaks and meditation can be beneficial to learning because it allows students to rest their mind so they can focus more so on the next lesson that they're going to be taught. I personally have a child in elementary school, and so I hear about all the behavioral issues that the students have from my daughter and the discipline that the teachers implement, and it doesn't seem to be working. Sometimes they do a lot of classroom discipline instead of individual discipline, and that's unfair to those that are not misbehaving. So first we'll look at the benefits of meditation and extra breaks, as well as how to implement this in our current school curriculum. Meditation can lead to increased learning. Based on one study, meditation increased cognitive capacity and engagement. In this particular study, they tested a control group and a research group. The control group did not have any meditation time. The research group did have some meditation time after they received a certain set of information that they needed to learn and that they were tested on later. The group who meditated scored on average 20% higher than those who did not. Meditation can also lead to calmer classrooms in regard to the behavioral issues that we see. Schools in England have seen success by implementing meditation. They determined that it helps to regulate emotions, which therefore increases or improves behavior. Additionally, a school in New York has seen behavior improvement after implementing a mandatory 30-minute meditation session at the beginning of the school day. And instead of doing detention, they've turned that time into meditation. And then they actually have a meditation classroom. So those who are having behavioral issues will go to this meditation or mindfulness classroom so that they can refocus their energy. Now that I've told you about the meditation benefits, we will discuss the benefit of extra breaks, or what we know as recess. I think we need to change the frequency of that. Currently, what we have in our schools is usually one 30-minute break. In the last 25 years, it hasn't changed much. I know my daughter's school does two 30-minute breaks, but that's not much of a change in the past 25 years. And not all schools do two 30-minute recesses. A lot of them have, the average is under 26 minutes for a recess. So there was a teacher that a U.S. teacher that went to Finland and began teaching there. And he tried to implement, he thought that their way of breaks after each lesson was too soft. He wanted to implement the stricter learning guide of 2 or 3 lessons and then a recess. This is with a group of 5th grade students. And by the 3rd day, he had a student kind of have a meltdown. And he said, I'm just not used to this schedule. I'm not handling it very well. So the teacher reverted to the Finnish way of doing breaks, which has been implemented since the 60s, 1960. They've been doing 45-minute lesson times followed by 15-minute break. He immediately noticed a difference in attitudes and alertness. He noted there was that the students had more of a pep in their step, if you will, whenever they came back from each one of their breaks. There was also a professor of educational psychology that ran studies on the effect of breaks as well as their frequency and the times that they were put in place. Children were more attentive after breaks, and then additionally he found that the breaks are more successful whenever they are not directed by a teacher but more so free play. Now that I've told you about the benefits of the meditation and breaks, we're going to cover how to implement this. A lot of us can't imagine changing the school curriculum any more than or I should say, introducing anything new or anything more into the school curriculum than what is already there. But if we think about it, we already have a 30-minute recess time. In the case of my daughter's school, we have two 30-minute recess times. If you can break that down into 10 to 15-minute recess times, you take the same amount of time that they've already gotten for their breaks. We just divide it up differently, and therefore it'll allow for a break in between each one of their subjects, which is usually 6 to 7 for an elementary school. Also, since breaks are more frequent, since that increases the cognitive capacity, what that can do is it can actually improve the learning. So they would need less time for each one of their lessons instead of more time, because the students are dragging their feet after, an hour and a half of learning. Additionally, within those break times, they could look at implementing meditation into a couple of those breaks as well, again, to improve with the behavioral aspect. As a parent, the current method doesn't seem to be working. We can see the positive effects from these studies that I've told you about, and the extra recesses and how it can be implemented. They're always teaching new techniques, like the crazy Common Core math that they've got now that none of us can get. They need to try to experiment with these break times and meditation as well, not just with teaching techniques. Thank you very much.